All right, well, it is 11 o'clock, so let's get started. Welcome, everybody. If you wouldn't mind, if you weren't here last week, I'm just going to quickly explain how this works. We are going to try breakout rooms according to the program you teach. So to help us put you in the right group, if you could just change your username to include your program. So you have 4 options for breakout rooms. There's our ELL, core, primary French immersion, and junior intermediate French immersion. So you'll have a few minutes later on just to chat with each other about whatever. So if you could just follow the instructions on the screen there and do that. In the background, Rod will be placing you in the appropriate group at that time. So you're here, obviously, if you're with us. Hopefully you got the right place. We're talking FSL and ELL learning today. And joining us this week, we have our friend Gretchen, who's going to bring and share some Indigenous perspectives that we can integrate into our teaching of languages. So welcome, Gretchen.
Yes, thank you for having me.
We're excited.
So for our territorial land acknowledgement today, I'm sharing a picture from an area near where I live, a road that I love to cycle on. The cultural heritage of Raleigh Township and Kent County include more than 11,000 years of continuous occupancy by the people Indigenous to the land that is now known as Canada and has been consistently used for sustenance and settlement. Prior to becoming farmlands we think of today, it was covered with deciduous forests and marshlands. The forest feeds the animals who make their homes around the farmland that feeds the people. The wind brings energy and the sun provides warmth and energy for all creatures. We are joining you today from the LKDSB, which is the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, known as the Anishinaabeg, and Delaware, known as the Lenape, who inhabited these lands at the time of written treaties, these being Treaty 2, Treaty 7, Treaty 29. These nations agreed through their ancestral languages to the mutual sharing of the land, with obligations and responsibilities to the environment. Today, these responsibilities and obligations extend to all peoples.
Thank you, Steph. So we just want to, before we get to Gretchen, we have a couple things for today, but just to follow up from some of the feedback you gave us in the feedback form was that you would like some more time in the breakout rooms. So we are going to honor that today. And we're just going to keep playing with it from week to week until we find what that magic number is that works the best. And the other thing is I just want to walk you through a suggestion that has come through about labeling activities in Seesaw. So to do that, I'm actually going to open Seesaw. Everyone else getting an echo?
Yeah.
Is your iPad mic on?
I haven't touched a thing since I started.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm doing differently. I didn't change anything.
People just mute themselves and maybe get in the habit of using the space bar when you're speaking. That's the quickest, easiest way to turn your mic.
Okay, so let me turn off my iPad mic. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, going with it. So a suggestion that was made.
Maybe turn your speaker down, Angela.
Yeah. A suggestion that was made was how to organize the activities in the library a little bit easier, so that you can find them with a little more ease. So when you're sharing to the library, you obviously have the option to select what subjects you would like to tag it as. So world languages is for our French language arts. We have world languages. And if you're creating an activity for our English language learners, there's an option there as well. But what we're suggesting today is for those content areas. So if you're talking about math, obviously you will tag it as a math subject. But what is being suggested, and I think there's value in it, we're just going to do grade 2. So if you're looking for a math subject, grade 2, all of these options come up, English and French. One way to help make those French activities stand out would be to label it with French at the beginning. Additionally, when you do that, when you do a keyword search under math, French, only the French activities will appear. So that might be where you want to start your search, is with the French ones that are already created. And then obviously if there's nothing there that works for you, you could just go back, find the English one and translate it as you normally would. It's a one more way to help streamline, because we aren't able to filter with 2 subjects at a time. That would be a workaround for that. If that makes sense, let me know if that made no sense at all, what I said. So that came out of their feedback form. So continuing on.
So we just briefly wanted to touch on translation tools, just because they can be something that can help parents who have a home language other than English or French support their child's learning at home. So we know that you are sending home instructions in English and French to help support those families. But if they need help with an additional language, I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that both Microsoft Translator and Google Translate have the ability to have photos uploaded to them and translate the photo. So say it's a worksheet or say it's a message. So you can take a picture or take a screenshot, or actually just take a picture with your phone in the app, which will allow you to then choose the language that it's being translated to. So I chose the Bonjour mes amis song that we saw a couple weeks ago and uploaded it. And so it translated over top if I'm using Microsoft Translator. If I'm using Google Translate, you select the text that you would like translated, and then it will translate up at the top of the page. These are artificial intelligence translations, so they shouldn't be relied on to provide accurate translation for important documents or information. So if you're sending home important letters that need to be signed, this is probably not a tool to use, but it is a tool to let your families know that they can translate activities for their children to help support at home. And then also, we should teach our students how to use translation tools so that they can find words they need in order to do the work that they're doing. But it needs to be explicitly taught. Just like when we're using paper dictionaries, context and content is important.
You can also put your, say you had an iPhone or a phone, you can put the translation tool on the photo and put it on top of your screen, and it will change, it'll translate right there as well. So if I take my iPad and put it on top of my computer screen, it translates for me as well.
And Google Translate, if you are running Android, they have added the transcription translation tool into the Android app, which means that you can be speaking in English or French and it will transcribe into the language that you would like it translated into. We're hoping that's going to be pushed out to the iOS platforms soon. Thanks.
So with all translation tools, we need to be careful of how we use them. Oops, why did that not work?
green, vert, towards, vert, glass, vert, pour, vert, worm, vert. A green worm pours a glass towards a glass maker around 8 o'clock. Un verre verse un verre vers un verrier vers 20 heures.
Oh, vert, 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 vert.
So just a little fun there.
Green,
Oh,
vert.
all right.
Okay. All right. So, oh, yeah.
Welcome, Gretchen.
Thank you. Thank you for
How's my
having
sound
me.
now? I can't figure this out. It
Okay.
just keeps cutting
Yeah.
in and out.
You can hear me and everything. All right. So I'm going to have to share my screen. Angela.
Okay.
So while we're taking care of that, I will introduce myself in my language. Bonjour, Gretchen Sands Gamble, Indigenous Pekedjanong and Dunjaba, Jikandodam, Anishinaabe and Dow. So I said, my name is Gretchen Sands Gamble. I am from Pekedjanong, which is also known as Walpole Island. I'm Turtle Clan, and I am an Anishinaabe woman. And I might not have met most of you, but I am the elementary Indigenous education special projects teacher for our school. So I support teachers. Why are we having that again? So yeah, support teachers in including Indigenous education in the classroom, and I'm going to talk about the importance of representation in the classroom and how we can do that in French immersion or in a core French class. Okay, so why we need to include Indigenous knowledge and languages in our schools for many reasons. One, that representation matters, and it's so important, especially for the students who are First Nation, Métis, or Inuit in our school, but also it shows students who are not Indigenous that Indigenous knowledge has value and has a place in our schools. It gives Indigenous students a sense of belonging. It gives their families a sense of belonging as well. And I've heard such good stories this year coming from schools where they do an Ojibwe word of the week or have Ojibwe signage in the school, and it really helps parents to feel welcome in the school as well. A message that I always send to teachers is that the best way to do it is to find resources that share authentic experiences of Indigenous people. And the way that we do that is by sharing resources that are created by Indigenous people. So we have to make sure that we are making space for Indigenous voices and for Indigenous people to share their stories. And that way we know that the voices are authentic and that we're doing it in an appropriate way. We want to make sure that we're not doing cultural appropriation, and that we just make that space to share the voices themselves. This was something from a PA day last year. It was our first online PA day back in April last year. And so one thing that we talked about, Mariah Millette and I, we talked about ways that Core French can include Indigenous knowledge and voices in the classroom as well. So you could do a read aloud with the kids, and it could be an English read aloud, but you could ask these questions here. And since we're trying to get the students to speak in French and to use those languages, they can answer these questions in French. And this is something that you could do for your remote learning. And so you could do a read aloud of the water walk, or you could find a video of Monique Gray Smith reading some of her books on YouTube, and then you could ask these questions and have your kids answer them in French. If you go to our elementary program department blog, you can find a lot of books that I recommend on there and lessons that you can do with them. See here. This was something else that you could do. This is artwork by an artist named Norval Morisseau, and I believe he's an Anishinaabe artist, and you can share this with your students and ask these questions, and then they can just answer them back. You could create clips, videos of them answering these questions. And I'll share this with I have a resource page that I'll put in the chat when I'm finished with this. So some schools and some classes use an Ojibwe word of the week in their schools. So the Ojibwe word of the week started with Nicole Gooding at P.E. McGibbon a couple years ago. And I was teaching at A right at the time too. So we kind of started working together with Jen Gilpin and Shantima Oliveira on this. And so we started to choose Ojibwe words of the week that would be introduced over the announcements, through the video announcements, that would go along with a picture book for the month. And if I'll send you this link too. So this will take you right to our blog that we created about it, because we did a whole year-long program through the TLLP program. And so this has the videos that you would need to do it, to the Ojibwe word of the week. And also there are PDFs for each month's words with QR codes and the words. So you could, we're in our classrooms, we would post that to the word wall, right? So, and it has all the words there. And then this would have the video, the QR code would have the video about how to pronounce the word. So I'll just play a quick one here. Let's see, here's my dad and I, let's see.
Here is your Ojibwe word of the week.
Bonjour, my name is Gretchen.
Bonjour, my name is Rocky. I'm her father.
And your Ojibwe word of the week is nos. And nos means my father.
So we did a lot of work at P.E. McGibbon and with Jen Gilpin's grade 2 class and Shantima's grade 1, 2. I forget what it was, but it was around that age group. And so they learned a lot of words to go along with the books that we were using. And they learned a lot of animal words too, which will take us to this next part here, which was really fun. There was one day I was talking to Jen Gilpin, and she was talking about this lesson that was created by Erin Integration, and it was making Eric Carle inspired iPad collages using Pic Collage. So I stopped in to visit her class, and she said, oh, we're going to do this right now. We're going to make these, and we're going to make an Ojibwe book. So let's see here if this will work. So it's uploaded to Seesaw with the lesson about what you can do with your class. So later we're going to go through how the kids made these. So we created it in Pages, I believe, and then put it as a video here to Seesaw.
What do you see? By Miss Gilpin's grade 2 class, led by Colton Gamble. Wawash Kesh, what do you see? I see a waboose looking at me. Waboose, what do you see? I see a wagush looking at me.
This was just with, they don't have Ojibwe at P.E. McGibbon, but it was really cool when I went in there to hear the kids say, I would say, oh, what animal are you making? And they would just know, oh, I'm making a cuckoo. So that's owl. And they really used the words a lot in the classroom. And whenever I would show up there, they would say, oh, bonjour, Gretchen. And there was a boy in the class who speaks Arabic. And so he would always be excited and he would want to speak to me in Arabic. And so then I would teach him words in Ojibwe and he would teach me Arabic words. So it was really nice to be able to include another language in the classroom. Let's see here. So, oh, I just wanted to, no, here we'll go to this. Steph made a video about how we made this in Pic Collage. So she can share that now. Let's see, I have to stop sharing my screen. You want to share it, Steph? You're on mute.
Would you be able to play it from there, Gretchen? There isn't any sound to this, so it's just the step-by-step how to go through and make the animals in Pic Collage. And this is free version of Pic Collage. So you can use shapes, or you can use the scissors tool to cut out whatever parts of the picture that you would like to use. And then you can increase the size, decrease the size, duplicate them, and then sending them forwards and backwards so that they appear behind the animal.
Okay, what we did too when we made these, when we were typing in the web image here, sometimes the kids would just type in color too. So yesterday I did this with my son Colton, and he's in grade 2. He's the one who was reading the book. He typed in orange texture swatch or orange texture, and then all these different things would come up here too. So you don't always have to include a specific texture that you want. It can be a color texture as well, or it can be a color as well. And it was something that was so fun, and it was so easy, and the kids picked it up really quickly. And so you could use this for any language too, right? Like you could use that Eric Carle pattern of the book to make it in French, or you could make it in Arabic, or any language you would want to use and incorporate in your class. And if you have English language learners in your class, I think that it's such a good way to help them to be included in the class as well. Yeah.
No, you finish. Go ahead.
No, I was going to go off somewhere else really quick. So if you had something.
Okay. I was also thinking that this would also be a fun activity to do, say, as reading buddies, because I know we're missing those connections that our students have with others in the school. So maybe if the older grades created a book, and then they could share that book with their reading buddies, possibly through Seesaw or another platform, which might be really fun for the younger students to see the books.
Mm-hmm. Yes. There is, let's see here. How do I get out of here? There is a lesson in Seesaw in school and district. I wanted to share this, and I didn't get this in the slideshow, but if you go to school and district and you type in powwow, I put a couple lessons in there. So there's this one here, powwow dance tradition. And this video is in English, but for French immersion or even for your core French classes, there are some resources here in this document that I'm going to send out. And so these are all French videos of this cute little guy, Charlie, and he goes to visit powwows. And so they're geared more towards the younger kids because he's a puppet and he's really cute. But we found these videos last year and they're really good. They're just short clips and it talks a bit about the powwow. So these could be used with this Seesaw lesson that's in here. And it talks about, it talks about the, how do I get that? The traditions that families might have around dancing. So traditions and things that are related to their heritage. So you could go through that lesson as well with your students. Before we get back to the breakout, I forgot to talk about this. The land acknowledgement that Steph did today, I really appreciated that land acknowledgement. I think it's really important to remember that when we're doing land acknowledgements in our classes and in our schools, that it's okay to make them personal to where you are. There needs to be a little bit of research done on them to find out maybe the treaty number where you're living or whose traditional territory you're on. And when we're doing a land acknowledgement, there's always a part about like a commitment that can be made to the land or to the people of that land. So when Steph showed the picture of where she likes to go and where like what the land used to be like and everything like that, such a good thing to demonstrate to the kids too. And that's definitely a lesson that you can do with your kids as well. There are French land acknowledgements on the elementary program department blog, and I'll put those links in the show notes too that I'm going to add to the chat in a second. Okay.
And I'm sure you'd be happy to help and consult, right, Gretchen?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yes, definitely. If you have any questions, yeah, that's something that I think I forgot to say that. If you have any questions, you just send me an email. I have no problem answering any questions. Steph will tell you that.
I ask all the time.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did help her with parts of that where she said, is this okay? And I said, well, let's change this up a little bit. Maybe we need to add something about the land in there too. So, yeah, I have no problem with that. Send me an email. I'll join you sometime in your class if you want me to. I can do that virtually as well. So yeah, just send me an email.
I think it was a really good point that Gretchen underlined and reminded me that often our children think of our farmland here as always being farmland, and it definitely was not. So we think of Chatham-Kent as flat and farmland, and there used to be much more here too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, yeah. So thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen. So hopefully you can see ways that even in our language classrooms, we can bring in Indigenous perspectives and celebrate multiple languages at the same time. So we are going to break out into our breakout rooms. And for those of you who might have been a little late joining, in order to help organize you into your breakout room, if you could change your name, your username, your Zoom username, and I'm getting my echo again. And then Rod will place you in the appropriate group. If you need help with that, just let us know. The instructions were up at the beginning, but I can go back if anyone needs to see those again.
I think we've got just about everybody but Colette. Colette Myers is the only one I'm not sure of.
Okay.
So
the breakout rooms are optional. We don't want you to not participate, not to come out to the sessions if you're not interested in the breakout room. But if you are, absolutely put your name there. Otherwise, we will be back in the main room in 7 minutes. And this is an opportunity to talk about some of the things you saw today, how you might be able to use these tools or ideas with your particular group of students. Rod, did you have any instructions for us before we?
No, just a reminder that your microphone and your camera are in the bottom left-hand corner of a regular computer. And if you're on an iPad, if you tap the screen, those controls will come from the top. But sometimes in a small group, you might get that echo effect. So if you have sound coming out your microphone, out your speaker into the microphone, the problem can be solved by using the space bar as your mute and unmute. So you set yourself to muted, and then every time you want to speak, hold the space bar down while you're talking, and let it go and just sort of shuffle like that. And that'll help reduce the feedback that you do get.
Rod, one question before. I just have a question about that. Does that also work on my keyboard on my iPad or no?
I haven't tested it. That's a great question.
I'll try it in the group.
Try it. Let me know.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. So we're good to go for 7 minutes then?
Yeah.
Okay. See you in a little bit.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. We got everyone back, Rod? Is anyone along the way?
28 people. I think that's everybody. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So we just wanted to take a chance right now, if you want to bring back some of the ideas that were shared in your group, whether it's regarding the stuff we talked about earlier in the session or whatever was on your mind, whatever came out in your groups. We'd love to hear and learn from each other.
I don't mind sharing. I have the unique situation of being split between 2 schools. So in the morning I'm at A, right? And my French classes are actually smaller because they get to take Ojibwe there if they want. So I was kind of trying to rack my brain of thinking it might not be possible to do right now virtually, but maybe in September, collaborating with whoever is going to be teaching Ojibwe and creating some books similar to that have Ojibwe words and French words that can then be used throughout the school. So
I think that's such a good idea, Rebecca. I think that the kids will really appreciate it too. And, you know, like being able to include both classes together, like that's such a really great idea.
Yeah, so that was my one aha moment.
That's awesome. Well, it just reinforces that idea of it's language learning. Doesn't matter what language we're learning, there's value in that, right?
I'll share. One of the teachers and I are going to try to do that with an Arabic speaker, and we're going to get her on board and maybe use animals native to her country and try it out. So hopefully we'll see how it goes and see what we can do.
Did you want me to share that piece, Ange, from our discussion?
That would be great, Jane. Yeah.
So one resource that I use quite a bit, especially in my office hours, is Planet French, and they have a wealth of activities and short videos in very accessible French for the kids, and so many of them lead to some really unexpected discussions. And we've been looking at a series of videos on clothes and talking about, you know, afterwards. But the one we looked at, I think on Wednesday, it was the traditional clothing of Indigenous people and its connection to the traditional life they used to lead, and how things were made and where they came from. And it got to the part where they were talking about the coat and suit made for an Inuit hunter, and it went into some detail about the fur that was used and how and why they used which type of fur, which time of year. And at first, afterwards, we were talking about it, and the kids were like, "Oh, the poor seals, the poor caribou, this is awful." And then, but then, they realized that, well, the hunter would have worn leggings with feet made from the legs of the caribou, and the parka was made from the shoulder and chest part of the animal, and then the hood was made from the head. And there was this traditional sort of symbiotic relationship between human and animal, and human becomes the animal becomes the human, and there's this close tie between them. And they paused, you know, quite a few of them, you could see the look on their face, and they're like, that's really respectful. And they saw it from a completely different perspective, and that just came out of that one video. So
yeah, that's great. And I think that when we are able to like shift the kids thinking a little bit like that, just to be able to have them see it from a different perspective or a different point of view, that's so powerful. And I feel like that helps kids be connected to the land more, right? And even that can be connected back to like Steph's land acknowledgement, right? Like it's all kind of connected, the land, the animals, and the people. And I think that's great that you notice that shift in their thinking as well. So thank you.
I will mention, we had some questions around the tour creator and Google Expedition last week. So we will make sure that the document link is in the chat again today so that you can find it. Corey, would you be able to put it in our chat?
Thanks, Corey. We're also working on a clips video for that one as well. So that'll be coming with some more instructions.
Corey also mentioned in the chat, she shared a couple of other tools for recording voice. Would you like to talk about those, Corey?
I found a really cool Google Chrome extension a little while ago, talk and comment. So good thing, it can embed oral into a Google form. I'll share the Google form I created. So I don't know if everyone can see. Hold on, I'm just gonna copy and paste it in here if you wanna have a click on it and check it out. So basically, talk and comment, you just enable the extension, you record your voice, it gives you a link, and you pop it into a Google form. It does lower your voice a little bit, so when you listen to it, it sounds a bit awkward. So bear with me if you do click on that. but I use it with my younger kids. I'm thinking about with Ojibwe words too. You could record yourself saying these words and have a multiple choice type thing, and just get your students hearing those new words. I really like the talk and comment. The only thing is it does change your voice a bit, and I've only used it with a Google form as of right now, but check it out.
Or did you say talk and comment it's called?
Yes, talk and
Okay.
comment.
Google extension. Awesome.
And there's also vocaroo.com. So Corey was using that as a workaround for some of the audio for her tour at home, correct, Corey?
Yep, so vocaroo.com is an easy way to download MP3 audio. So that's another way to upload audio into a Google form, or sorry, on Google Slides or a website.
Thanks for sharing that, Corey.
Can I just add from our group, Angela?
Of course.
Just from a practical point of view, we were talking about continuing to support students and parents with making a subject like core French manageable, and ways to make those tasks light, but intentional and engaging, but manageable. And so we're just reminding people about the free premium account we can get on Kahoots, and how easy it is to start the learning somewhere and then to bring them to a little quiz, and with the premium account being able to see reports, being able to see when kids did these, but turning off things like the timers so there's no pressure, even inviting kids to go and try it a second and third time. But that was something that we discussed, and I just wanted to mention to Gretchen that the lesson in Seesaw on the powwow was really an inspiring idea, putting together with Corey's ideas for field trips, because I think that this is something that our children are really missing right now, is those peripheral experiences at school. And so I think many of us have tried to do things like field trip Fridays and whatnot. And so I know that that's a place I might try next with my students, is to do that lesson, and then going from there to the language, but also having an opportunity to present Ojibwe words and questions in French. So miigwech for that. I think that's great. I think field trips is, they're responding back saying, hey, I didn't think we could do field trips. We did a 360 view of Paris last week. This week we went to Montreal to the Mural Festival and toured all the murals. And because we know that language is not just about language, it's about culture. And that brings it back to that kind of just positive feeling we want to have kids maintain through this time towards French, that we could get into worrying about how many are doing assignments. But I think that continuation of just, how do they feel? They'll remember how they felt in this time. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
And with them
Sheila,
go ahead. Oh, sorry. With them being at home, they can also, if they do have other languages at home, can also connect that as well. So because they have access possibly to their parents who are with them at home, or maybe grandparents, they can talk to them about home languages and the words that connect with our Ojibwe word and our French word and our English word, and create more connections around more language.
So I did
Go ahead. I was just going to ask anyone else that wanted to.
I did add the link here in the chat with the resources, so you can copy and paste that to your Chrome there. So yeah, you can check that out.
Gretchen, does that also include the one we were talking about with the different subscriptions we have that have the videos? Or is that separate? You're muted, Gretchen.
It doesn't, but I'll add it right now.
Okay, well, I can speak to it as well. So as you are aware, I've shared with you on a couple occasions now, as a board, we subscribe to a few different online digital resources, video, and in all of those, I'm thinking, well, Jane talked about Planet French, Info Jeune, there is definitely Indigenous content to be found on all of those platforms. So just got to search for it. ELL is another one that has a lot. So there are French options out there for us, which is good. So Sheila, just before we wrap up, I think you had an update on Kermit for us. Do you want to show?
You want to smile? We want to smile.
It's Friday, of course.
Let's see if I can do this, if I remember how to do this. And so I'm into Zoom, and when I'm in here, yeah, I'm on a computer. I'm going to share my screen.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that, let me know if you're seeing that.
Yes, we see it.
Okay, I don't have, oh, I can put it in present mode. There you go. Sorry, I'm kind of new to doing this. Yeah, just to give us all a smile, because I know, well, I don't know. I need them. So let me know if that loads up. Is it loading? There we go.
You're good.
So just some continuation de la vie de Kermit here. Kermit adore la musique. You know, he's every morning, again, the intent, if you weren't here for this initially, was just to continue giving kids a sense of routine, start with a date every day en français, and just letting kids know that you think about them every day. It gives them an opportunity to speak. I often give a question and kids respond to me en français. I also connect with things that my own children are doing at home. You know, this is my daughter's homework on the left-hand side, her diorama for her book report. And also connect to the realities of what's going on right now. You know, Kermit qui parle avec son ami en ligne, and me asking them things like, how are they staying connected with their friends? But of course, asking them en français to get them to use their second language. And just a couple more here. Kermit qui fait une sieste. Ask the kids, you know, are you sleeping more or less than usual? And always kind of tugging a little bit at some mental health, you know, just checking in with them, seeing how they're doing. You know, that they're getting exercise. And, you know, we also like to try and incorporate the arts. Kermit pense que le disco est cool. I'll be asking them, quelle est ta musique préférée? And of course, la culture, la famille de Kermit qui vient du Québec, asking them where their families come from. And today, the last one I did recently was Kermit qui se détend dans le spa. Pardon the lack of accent aigu on the word détend. So he's relaxing in the hot tub. But for your laugh on a Friday, these posing of Kermits, it looks like it's easy, but this was this was the first shot. And so in the wind, as I said, I don't know if you heard when you first came in, and we're all adults here, so I can say this, but he went ass over tea kettle into the hot tub as I was trying to take a picture. And then so eventually I got the shot of him sitting more demurely at the side of the hot tub. Anyway, the kids this is an example of, you know, it's not big assignments, but children are writing in French. They're looking up words in French that either I use or they want to use. It's a check-in every day. And it's just giving that positive feeling that I was talking about. So I hope it gives you a smile as well.
Especially that last one.
Yeah, there you go. Stop sharing. Good. Okay.
Thanks, Sheila. I thought everyone would appreciate the update that we got at the beginning.
Yeah. Just keeping it real.
Okay, so we're approaching the end of our time together. Just want to put up that bit.ly again. We really do appreciate hearing back from you. What's working for you from these sessions, what you would like to see, what you want to talk about, and we will try our best to address them. So I'll leave that up there. Yeah, whenever you have a chance throughout the week. And then lastly, just a reminder to check out some of the other sessions that are happening. There's so many great ideas out there, and so many of them that we can adapt for use in our core French or French immersion classrooms, our ELL learners. So I encourage you to participate in some of those and see how we can make it work in our classrooms. And I think that brings us to the end. So I want to wish everyone a lovely Friday and a great weekend. Hopefully the weather warms up for us. It was snowing this morning, so it can only get better, right? Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Miigwech.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers this weekend.
Thank you.